Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have Bored Elon Musk joining us, the famous Elon Musk parody account that has turned into so much more than that. Bored Elon, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for saying that. I am so much more than just a parody account at this point. And yeah, I to that point, I've even been going just by bored, and I really want to own that word and make it a good thing. So excited to talk more about that, and appreciate you all having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, bored. I mean, well, why bored Elon Musk? Because you created this account before Bored Apes came out, right? I mean, this is...
Oh, hell yeah. I was like 8 years before. Totally. In fact, in 2 days, there is going to be a trademark that is filed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for @bored, which I will own. My real name will not be on it. It'll be my LLC, but I really want to own that word. And yeah, it came to mind just because I had seen Elon posting all these crazy inventions and things that he didn't have time to deal with. The biggest of which was the Hyperloop high-speed train. Like, he literally put out a 40-page white paper with instructions on how to do it. And that's what prompted the character for me. It was just this idea of, what does he think about when he's bored? And that led to basically me creating this character and kind of the brand that I've now associated myself with.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, because I see you joined Twitter in August 2013. Like, that's pretty freaking OG for Twitter. And you said you've been kind of running with this account for 8 years. And I mean, do you even really parody Elon Musk anymore? I feel like you don't really do too much of that.
No, yeah, not
anymore,
really.
Yeah.
I certainly, when I started the account, I never would have, in my wildest dreams, imagined that the real guy that I was doing a parody of would one day own the platform. That was a crazy, like, confirmation that we live in a simulation for me personally. But yeah, I mean, it started off as a very one-dimensional caricature of Elon, and I did that for a couple of years. And honestly, I just got burned out. It's really hard to keep that up unless you hire other people to start writing jokes for you, and I just didn't want to do that. And I never responded to people. I never had voice calls like this. And I wanted to bring a little bit of the real me out. So over time, I've kind of moved away from being the parody. And even from a visual standpoint, you know, I started off as like literally having his face, a photo of Elon's face as my avatar. Then it became an illustration. Then it became this abstract vector thing. And now it's an Opepen, which is this art project I really like. But neon green is really just me now. Bored and neon green are kind of the two things that are intertwined. And I'll still tweet at Elon. He occasionally tweets back at me. We're cool. We're best buds. But I'm sort of my own person now and doing my own thing.
Have you ever met him in person?
No, I would like to. And, you know, I've kept my identity a secret for 10 years now. But I would definitely dox if he invited me to a space launch at SpaceX or something like that. That'd be cool. That'd be worth it. That
would definitely be worth doxing for, I would say. I do remember the first time, I mean, probably like 2 years ago, first time I heard about you. We were on a Twitter Spaces together. I don't know. I honestly don't remember the Twitter Spaces, what it was, but I just remember like you were up as a speaker and I was like, who is this bored person? And I started following you then. And I've been following you ever since. And that was when you had I think it was Elon Musk's face, like green. And yeah, I definitely associate you with the color green. That's definitely, I feel like you've done a good job.
You know, for people in America, like, you know, that T-Mobile just obnoxious magenta color? But that was green. Like, it's really painful on your eyes, but you can't mistake it. So that's my strategy.
I love that. And Michael, did you want to chime in?
Well, are you an Eagles fan? Do you happen to be an Eagles fan, like that green color?
Well, that's a very different green.
It is a bit different. I know. I'm looking at it now. If you see my profile, I'm a big Eagles fan. So that's why I'm asking. But go ahead if you want to give a hint to your whereabouts. You can talk about your football.
I publicly said that I live in California now, but
okay, got you.
I was rooting. My hometown. I was rooting for a team that featured blue and orange, and that can be a few teams, but you can narrow it down.
I already got it. Yeah, it's all good. Nice.
So you have 1.7 million followers on Twitter. Did you gain most of those followers early on when you started being kind of a parody account for Elon Musk, or how are you able to grow such a large following on Twitter?
They're all bots. I paid for them. So
damn it.
Yeah, that's what it takes. No, I honestly, the vast majority of the growth was in the first 2 years. So I was putting out a lot of just silly invention ideas, like things that were kind of whimsical and didn't make any sense in real life, but were solutions to problems that people had. And that was really niche. And I've always found that if you want to grow an audience early, going niche is helpful. You can really just rapid fire grow. But eventually, if you kind of stick with that particular subject, you're gonna top out. You're gonna hit a ceiling, and that's when I broadened. But I also slowed down my growth. So I went from 0 to 1 million in probably like 3 years, and a lot of that was helped by Silicon Valley people just thinking it was funny. Like early on, I would just get retweeted constantly by VCs and people in the Bay Area, and in a way, the account was a meme, and like you were cool if you followed it and engaged with it or got a shout out from it. So that's really what it was. And it was a little bit of consistency and my humor matched with luck, because when I first created it, I didn't necessarily know like the level of stardom and visibility the real Elon would have. That was really helpful, and so that was good timing for me. But I would say for the last like 3 to 4 years, I've really leveled off. I've got a couple hundred followers here and there, but it's leveled off because I basically just kind of started tweeting about whatever I want to. I'm not beholden to the algorithm. I'm not going to just do stuff that makes me grow. I don't care. Like I've reached a level now where I'm comfortable with where it's at. If I get another couple 100,000 followers here or there, it's not really going to help me. So yeah, in a way, it's like, it's just a lot of freedom. And I've kind of forgotten about the number of followers I have. Like you would think maybe I would think more and reconsider sometimes when I tweet what I'm saying, but I just let them fly. And I'm usually good about not offending people or saying anything inappropriate. And the stuff that doesn't resonate, that doesn't get any likes, I usually just delete it. I delete tweets very frequently because I kind of take cues from improv comedy where you start with an idea, you write some material, you test it out on an early audience, maybe a small room of people, and you pay attention to what people laugh at, what they like and what they don't. And then 3 months later, your script is totally different. So that's the way I think about Twitter is like, if content isn't hitting, I just delete it. And then when somebody comes to my profile for the first time and they see my stuff, they only see the best stuff because I've gotten rid of the things that don't work really well. And that's been a pretty good tactic.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You're kind of like curating. See, that definitely feels like, I feel like people do that kind of thing for like Instagram and things like that. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're taking your account, like if you have a large following and obviously you take it seriously, like that makes a lot of sense to delete the stuff that doesn't perform well or doesn't hit. Yep. And then it's just like, oh, then people go to your page, they only see the bangers. That makes a lot of sense to me. I'm curious about how your Twitter has kind of helped you with growing a lot of connections, and what are some of the coolest connections you feel like you've made in the space because of your Twitter account?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest unlock. You nailed it. It's not even the following or how many people I can reach. It is the sort of unfair credibility that comes with having a large following and being the character. So what I'm most proud of is that I'm followed and can DM with Jack Dorsey and like Vitalik, Buterin, who created Ethereum, and, so many other people that I've respected for my whole life. And it's funny because like I have a real world Twitter account, real me, and that person can't do that, right? This fictional character can do that. So I was pretty successful in real life. I'm pretty successful in real life, but like this character is way more successful in regards to who they can network with and the circles they're running. And so from a thinking about it from like a career standpoint, a business standpoint, they just get done in the DMs, not in public. And so being able to reach essentially anyone through like 2 degrees of separation is very handy. What gets a little tricky sometimes is if I actually want to engage in a serious business deal, like an investment, a partnership, whatever it is, I'm this green character on the internet with no real name. And so I rely heavily on the reputation that I've spent building, that I've spent the last 10 years building. So like I ask people who are docs to vouch for me, to reassure my potential partners that I'm reputable, I'm trustworthy, and that they should, work with me. And if it ever comes down to it, like I do reveal who I am if I need to sign contracts, and I ask people to sign an NDA. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest unlock when it comes to building a following online. It is not the status of having a lot of followers or being able to get lots of likes. It is getting access to opportunities and to people.
100%. That goes with like the saying, your net worth is your network is your net worth. Definitely the people that you're able to connect with, that's huge. That's massive. And that's crazy that you have a lot of high profile people following you. Do you like reach out to them, or you're like, oh, like, no, they can just follow me. I'm not going to DM them though. I feel like I'd get really nervous. I'd be like, I don't know if I should DM them.
I usually I do DM them if they follow me, because I feel like the open invite.
Oh, let's go. Yes.
And
good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mentioned I live in California. I live amongst a lot of people who are very well known. And I guess I'm not really shocked by it anymore. I just, everyone's just a normal person, and yeah, maybe they're known by millions of people, but yeah, I don't know. I think in a way, a lot of people who, some people find like untouchable or feel nervous to approach, they kind of dig it when you just talk to them like a normal person. And the worst they'll do is just ignore you, and that's fine. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't ever want to.
So you're famous in real life. Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, and I would never want that. I mean, my goal is to never reveal my identity, because I don't want to be famous in real life. I don't want to have to like go out and worry if someone's going to ask me for a selfie or bug me while I'm with my family. I also don't want to expose my friends and family to this world that we live in. Like, they didn't sign up for it. So yeah, as much as I can keep the two worlds separate, I'm going to try to do that.
That's interesting. I mean, you did say you would dox for Elon Musk.
Yeah, I'll dox for him. I'm not going to necessarily.
Oh, you would? I thought you were saying like you'd post the picture of you guys.
No, probably not. Okay. No, I don't think so. Unless like if he wants to hire me as a head of memes for SpaceX, then I'll. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think so.
Director of Vibes, SpaceX. Director of Vibes. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good. Yep.
You got to set the right tone as you're conquering space. Let people know you're friendly. Make sure that it's fun on Mars. It's kind of lonely right now, so you got to set the mood.
If anyone would go for that, it's him
for sure. He's like the opposite of ridiculous things. So
right. You talked about like how you created all those weird inventions. There were actually articles written about those inventions, like Bored Elon's best inventions. I was doing my research and I came across a handful. I don't know if I'm sure you saw those years ago. They were written
articles / they took my content and put it on their own website and made advertising revenue on it. It didn't pay me, but that's fine.
Got you. No doubt. I put. I'm sorry. I put all the articles I could find through ChatGPT. That's my new. That's my new. When I research for guests, it's great.
The other move is, someone sends you a DM and it's way too long and you don't want to read it. So you're like,
totally.
ChatGPT, just shorten this. Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me this.
Everything. Yeah. Articles. Like I was looking for info on the impact theory refund, and there's like this huge Medium article, but it had all kinds of things. And I put that into ChatGPT and I was just like, just tell me what I need to know about getting a refund. And it was like, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. So I didn't have to go through the whole thing. It's great. It's the best.
It is until it, enslaves humanity. But until then, we're awesome.
Damn. Yeah. No, that's crazy because I remember watching a video of Elon Musk and he was literally saying like, yeah, robots are like going to overtake us. And he was just like all like serious about it. But it was like,
he's also building AI at the same time.
Yeah.
He is like, so he's like, he's building it. And what do you think?
Because he thinks it's inevitable, right? And so he's like, well, might as well freaking.
Yeah, because he's trying to be the competitor to ChatGPT, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's kind of like, this is why every country was racing to build the atomic bomb first, because you're basically in a situation where, well, our enemies are doing it, so we've got to do it too. And I think some of his fears are founded in reality, which is like, whenever you have a technology that's very new and very powerful, it can be used against you. His perspective on like AI basically harming humans, I don't really buy into. My whole theory is if machines ever become sentient, they're actually like not going to care about us at all. They'll just build a rocket and go to the moon and live off solar power, and we'll just be completely irrelevant. Why waste time getting rid of us? The only reason they'll attack us is if we try to destroy them, which is probably going to happen. So yeah, that's clear.
Damn,
love it.
Do you think that Elon is a human? Or do you think that because he could be an alien or maybe like a reptilian, or he could be like a clone? Yeah. Like there's all these other options. I mean, I don't know if you're kind of like into that or not, but do you think he's human?
Yeah, I think so. There are certain people in history, like Da Vinci was a good example of that, where he came up with things that were insane to come up with when he was alive. And Elon is not necessarily even that inventive. I think he is extremely smart and operational and a good marketer and has a very good memory. But I think that he is human. Yeah, he's just a really like powerful human. If I were ever to say someone's an alien, it'd be more of a Da Vinci than Elon.
How about Vitalik?
He looks like one, right?
He acts like one. Like I saw this video recently where this girl was like interviewing him, and she asked him just like a question that you would ask a normal person. She's like, "What's your best pickup line?" Right? Which is like, okay. Yeah. And then he literally like, it was like, it looked like his brain was like, what? Computing? Sure. Like, yeah. And he didn't know what to say, and he just said, "What?"
Yeah.
And he sounded like a freaking robot, and he just said, "What?" And then he just didn't know what to do. And then the girl started just cracking up.
Yeah. I mean, I actually think Vitalik and Elon are very similar, and like social norms are not quite something they prescribe to, and they just operate in a world that's a little bit different, and like they're super in the weeds on really complex things. And yeah, it stands out for sure. Like they are alien in the sense that they're alien to the average person.
Right.
Vitalik is also just really like professorial, and he's kind of like the mad scientist in the basement that nobody ever talks to. And when you get to talk to him, like when you come down to the basement and you talk to Vitalik, you're like, whoa, dude. Okay, you're very smart, and I don't understand what happened. It is what you're saying, but I appreciate you and what you're doing. But I'm not going to introduce you to my, to my sister, because you probably don't know how to talk to her.
Yeah, they don't have like, they have the IQ, but not the EQ, right?
Yes, that's a really good way to phrase it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like now that we're down this rabbit hole, did you guys see the bodies of quote unquote aliens that were presented to the Mexican Congress?
Yeah, I don't buy that. I buy that there's aliens, but those seemed like, I don't know, like what they would show in the movies. Like it
did look like ET. It looked just like ET.
Yeah, I'm like,
but
what?
They're doing all these tests on them. They're saying that could all be fake too.
I think they're made out of cake.
Made out of what?
Made out of cake. Somebody made a video.
like that TV show. They slice it open. Gotcha. Well,
yeah, someone like literally made a cake that looked like the alien, and he filmed it, and that gave me a laugh. So I'll give you my theory on this. It is unlikely that those are real, but if aliens did come to Earth thousands of years ago, in theory, which maybe is possible, here's how they probably would have done it. So traveling to another planet or another galaxy is not really efficient. It's really difficult. Takes a long time. Blah blah blah. If you're capable enough as a civilization to travel, through space, you probably also can transfer your consciousness through data. And so what I think happened is that aliens from another galaxy or planet sent their consciousness, their mind, via like some sort of concentrated beam of light, a laser, if you will, to Earth, and then uploaded it into some kind of a body. That could have been a body that was just like organically created, and it sort of looked like a person. And it was meant to kind of go around and scavenge around and report back then on what was seen. And then that data gets beamed back to the planet. Like, why would you go in person in a dangerous environment when you could just send an organic drone to do it for you? But that's what I would do today. We had the power to do it. So that's my theory. So like, if this alien were real, and again, I don't think it were, but if it were, it would just be a vessel, and the actual aliens look wildly different, like in a way we probably can't even imagine. And they are not anywhere physically near us.
It's a good theory. It's interesting. I like it.
That's very interesting. And that is just more proof that Elon Musk is an alien. But also that makes me think like, damn, there really are probably like, I mean, yeah, I do kind of believe that there are aliens and stuff walking among us. But it's just kind of makes you think more like, damn, what if I'm an alien? You know what I mean? Like, how would I know? Would I know that I'm an alien, or would I just be an alien?
Our planet may have been populated by our species. We might be alien to this planet.
It's possible.
True.
Right?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Or we could have been spliced with something native that really made us smarter. Our brains grew bigger. I don't know.
No, I could totally see another planet, blowing up somewhere, and then the organic material eventually making its way down here, and that turned into us. So makes sense.
It could be by mistake or purposefully.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna figure that answer out in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah. I know. I love it. I want it to be real. I want them to make the announcement, and I feel like they kind of are, but I want them to just tell us, like, yes, there are aliens. They've come here. We've even had some communications. Like, I want that official announcement.
Dude, there's documentaries of like,
there's all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, there's like, it's out there. It's just, I guess, not like super, super public. But there's definitely, they've been studying
all the reverse engineering stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, that's such a big secret to keep that either there's something there, and anything you've seen thus far is just like totally BS, or if it was real, it would have got leaked already, because everything gets leaked now. So yeah, we'll see.
But then they can bury it. Like, okay, yeah, sure, anything can be on the internet, but they can easily bury stuff so that it's hard to find. Like, do you ever watch those?
Yep, sorry, go ahead. I was going to just say, stuff is getting leaked all the time. It's just, it's not like photos. Maybe they're like super careful with anybody taking any photos of the stuff, right? Because like, there's all kinds of people saying that they've had interactions with some of the stuff, and it's all compartmentalized and all that stuff.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think generally, what has happened in society, at least in the last 10 years, is a really large population or a large percentage of the population has shifted its belief in extraterrestrial life, where they think it's likely in some way.
Right.
And I think that's probably healthy.
Yeah, that's
true.
Be a kook. Yeah, it used to be like,
kook.
what? No, aliens are like, nobody believed in aliens. Like, that wasn't a thing. Now I feel like everyone you ask is like, yeah, probably. Like, that is true. That is a good observation. Okay, we got to pivot from the aliens over to I wanted to talk about Opepen and the whole ThreadGuy saga, we'll call it, because I feel like you really kind of started that. We were talking about that obviously several episodes ago. That was probably over a month ago now. I don't even know. But yeah, how you offered to buy ThreadGuy's mutant and just kind of started this whole effect. Next thing you know, he has the whole Opepen, and you can mint it for what, $7, $2? I actually don't even know.
I think it's $2.
$2. Okay. Yeah. So, Bored, I would love to hear your side of the story on that, I guess, like how that came about and why you offered to buy ThreadGuy's mutant.
Well, and then there's some important context even before any of that happened. Opepen is a NFT project that existed months before the whole ThreadGuy situation, and still does, and I'm a big fan of it. And the TLDR on that is it was 16,000 items that were minted for free, and they were completely blank and had no value. And then the founder, Jack Butcher, who is a really smart thinker, and I recommend everyone check out his writing, decided to turn it into something different, which was slowly reveal or release the actual artwork for Opepen in increments of 80. So he took the 16,000 and basically said, okay, every few weeks we're gonna release 80 at a time. Every 80 is gonna have a different style of art. It might have collaborations with other artists, and I think that's super interesting because most sort of digital asset collections, they get released all at once and they all have the same kind of vibe and look to them. This is something that's more of like an art project meets PFP or Avatar. And that's what really got me super excited about exploring what this would turn into. And so, fast forward to the ThreadGuy thing. ThreadGuy is this really compelling, funny, positive guy who does a lot of Twitter Spaces and talks a lot about Web3. And I was on a space with him, and he was having kind of a bummer of a day. Sounded a little sad about the state of affairs in Web3. And he was like, I just don't know where things are going to go. And on a whim, I basically said, hey, I've got a few of these Opepen. They're pretty valuable. I'll give you one of them. It's worth quite a bit of money. If you trade me for your mutants, your Bored Ape Yacht Club mutant. And, he being the good sort of hype man, engagement farmer that he is, turned it into 3 days of him publicly debating, should he take the deal or not? And it created all this drama and fun and all that. But ultimately where it netted out was, we didn't do the deal, but Jack Butcher, the founder of Opepen, created his own special, ThreadGuy edition PFP, and he allowed them to be minted for $2 a piece, which is really fun, super cheap, basically nothing. And that turned into $100,000 worth of piece NFTs being minted, and basically ThreadGuy getting this full collection of people and followers who wanted to support him and bought something for a very low price and expected basically nothing in return. And it was a really fun moment on the internet. I didn't plan any of this. It was really just me trying to do something nice and fun. And it turned into this way bigger sort of cultural discussion about the value of NFTs. And ultimately where it's netted out is, ThreadGuy has become a big advocate for Opepen, and I'm happy about that because I'm a big holder of their PFPs. And we'll see where it goes. But that there's so many nuances to the story, but that's a little bit of a snapshot into what happened there. And if you're not an NFT nerd, some of this stuff that I just described will not make sense, and I apologize.
No, yeah, I mean, we've definitely talked about it before. Michael's way better at explaining the whole story. We had Marka on talking about it, and I think everyone listening this is an exclusively NFT podcast, so everyone's pretty deep into the NFT space here, but yeah.
It isn't the name, so I guess that makes sense.
That was a slick branding move back in August of 2021, wasn't it?
It was, we'll see if that continues to be used. I
know. It's going to be a relic at some point.
Will we have to change our pod name?
You know what's funny when you say that? Because when I was in, I guess, high school and later, everybody was downloading music as MP3 files. And I think everybody still knows what MP3s are, but we don't really say
it's just music. It's just music
files. Yeah. They're going to download files, stream them on Spotify or whatever. But that term did stick around nonetheless. But I do think that NFTs will have a similar pattern to what you saw with music.
Yeah. And speaking of Opepen and Marka, we got to talk about Ropepen, because you probably don't know that I am the number one player on the leaderboard.
You would flex this.
And you actually, Michael Keen.eth, that's me. And and I see you're number 4, and you're actually the closest one to me in rows and levels, but obviously not anywhere near in score.
I don't have pitch reflexes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know you got that. You definitely played for longevity on that one. You got to, because I start off, if I'm not getting a bunch of Tetrises right away, I'll restart it and get
smart.
Back in. Yeah, you got to build your Tetrises early. You got to get 6, 7 in a row to start the game.
Okay, that's a good score. I will. I will try that again.
And then
if you haven't seen the movie, you should watch Tetris the movie. So good.
Really? There's a Tetris the movie? I didn't even know about that.
They did a whole. They did a whole. Like basically, they talked about the story of how like the idea got developed in the Soviet Union and how it.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
I'm like semi-pro. I've been playing since '95 in 10th grade biology.
That's awesome. Well, you should play
Northeast High School. I should play which one?
Tetris 99 on Nintendo Switch. It's like 99 players, all start a game of Tetris until one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Competitive.
Oh, that's dope. You download it on Nintendo Switch? My son has a Nintendo Switch. That's really cool.
You should
I'll kick those kids' butts. I will whoop those kids.
You should find a reason to ground them, take their Switch. And play.
No, I'm saying the kids. I'm saying not my own kids. I'm talking about the kids on Tetris. I'm not going to whoop my own kids. I'm talking about the kids I'm playing in Tetris. I love that idea. But I can't. Mark's going to do a tournament at some point soon, and I expect to win.
Yeah, and Mark is great. We actually...
he's the best. He's the best for sure.
Yeah, we've been chatting for a while. We've been working on our own game. Actually, it's a little slow right now in the progress, but we designed a card game that it actually leverages Opepen graphics. So I'm sure we'll kickstart that again soon.
That's he's been telling me about that. He's got a lot going on. He's headed to the punk event next week in Charleston, South Carolina, People's Place.
Oh man, I wish I was going. I'm not.
Yeah.
Or maybe
yeah, for sure. Ooh, yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll be there.
Exactly. I do want a lot. I pretend that I'm not at an event.
Draw pictures of everybody there, and I'll use AI to like weed out who we know, and then we'll get this.
No, like I've legit gone to certain events and tweeted that I'm not there, and then just kind of listened in on conversations and tried to like see what the pulse is. So yeah, it's been interesting.
You would think people would recognize your voice though.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, like if you were actively trying to do it in the moment, maybe. But I think if you're at a party or something like that, you're really not gonna. I don't think you're gonna come to that conclusion. It's not that distinct. And I'm not speaking publicly enough. I think for it to be like burnt into people's brains. So I've been okay so far. And the real me doesn't really have a lot of recordings, so it's tough to like pinpoint, who I am for now. I think I can make it another 2 years at least without getting doxxed. We'll see.
Wow. Okay, so it's kind of one of those games of like you're trying to see how long you can last, but you feel like you will inevitably get doxxed. Well, if you piss somebody off, you'll probably get doxxed.
It's impressive. It's impressive that you've done it this long. It's very impressive because a lot of people.
I think to Jenny's point, being nice and reputable helps a lot. It's probably the biggest reason nobody's come after me and tried to figure it out. It's because I haven't like done anything to give them a reason to do it, and that's a good strategy. I did hire a cybersecurity expert though to try to crack it. So I basically gave him no information, paid him in crypto, and it was like, have at it, try to figure out who I am. And he couldn't do it. This is a guy who was like, he's worked for the government. He knows what he's doing. So he wasn't able to do it. So that gave me a good sign that whatever I've been doing so far has protected me fairly well. And yeah, I tell people I live in California, but there's like 45 million people there. I'm okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, you live in a place where there's a lot of famous people around.
Exactly. I'm the last person they're going to care about them.
Right, but I've already
determined that Board is famous. They're secretly famous.
Who try to pinpoint the voice?
Now, granted, I don't know that many like famous people, so I don't know. But I do feel like there's some type of
somebody in Hollywood. I'm getting a vibe. Board somebody in Hollywood. But also, I know you have a history in video games, so maybe it is like I don't know. You have a history in video games. We're trying to figure it out. What did you do in video games?
Well, now I'm not going to tell you anything else.
I'm pretty good at that stuff. I got we had Julian from Doodles on, and he was talking about their big thing they were going to do this summer. And I was like, it's got to be Chicago then. Remember? And he's like, why does it have to be Chicago? And it ended up being the Doodles Camp Chicago. So you can stop because I am a little investigator. I can.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm actually Shigeru Miyamoto. That's why.
Okay.
Snap.
Got it.
Okay, what can you tell us about Boardbox?
What can I tell you about Boardbox? So Boardbox was a company I started in 2021, and the whole premise was creating a membership and a club that helped highlight the best blockchain games. So games where you could own your assets on chain. The vision for it really was to be like a curator of the best games, right? Because if you're somebody who feels overwhelmed with the amount of games there are to pick from, you don't necessarily want to do all the research and kind of like figure out, is this game legit? Should I put any time into it? And so we were going to do that for you. Admittedly, the market of games that have been released that have like a Web3 component has been pretty minimal, right? Like I was betting it would be much bigger. It's been slow and it's coming. I think it is inevitable, but I think it's going to take much longer. So, full transparency, with Boardbox it's become a bit more of a side project. We're going to still continue to partner with game companies and help, our community get access to new games. But yeah, it's changed a little bit. So where I've shifted my focus now in terms of like the majority of where I'm spending my time is creating game events and bringing people together at one time to experience like a game, like space in one place. So if you think about what companies like Improbable are doing, for example, with building digital events where like tens of thousands of people can basically hang out and have sort of like concert meets video game. That's really what I'm spending a lot of time on. And I know I'm being a little cryptic here because I've got more news coming that I can share in the next few weeks, but I can't yet. But I would say, yeah, just kind of if anyone's interested in learning more about this idea of like game events, follow me on Twitter and I'll share more very soon. But that's what I'm super focused on. I think a lot of people, including myself, don't necessarily have time to play traditional video games that are perpetual, whereas like they're playing hours and hours every week or even day, and would rather just like play one thing one time, once a week or once a month and have a lot of fun. That's what I'm leaning into. So I'll share more on that soon.
Fine. What's the best Web3 game out there right now?
I would say the one to pay attention to, which is already in testing, is called Wildcard. So it's kind of like Pokemon meets League of Legends meets Rocket League. So you've got two sides of this arena. You release characters who have to earn abilities, and they have to reach the other side of the arena. Along the way, they release their powers and fight each other, and then whoever reaches, the opposing side first is the winner and scores the most points. So it's a pretty simple premise to understand at a whole. But the creator of this game of Wildcard was one of the original team members that built Age of Empires. So if you like that series, they've got a really extensive background in gaming, very talented. And I've played the game myself and was very impressed with it. So I think it'll be available for public release sometime early next year, hopefully. And that's the one that I would kind of pay the most attention to in terms of Web3 game.
Wildcard. Okay, that's cool. I've never heard of that before. So that's great to dig into.
Wildcardgame.com, I believe. Hopefully I'm on the right one.
You'll see a bunch of crazy looking animal type characters.
That should be it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see him.
Paul Bettner is the co-founder. He's definitely looking at it time. Really cool guy.
Have you ever heard of something called D-Market on the Mythos chain?
No, I have not.
Okay. Yeah, we don't know too much about it either, but we go over when we do our recap episodes, collection sales volume. And like that has been one of the high, like I'm looking at it right now, NFT collection rankings by sales volume over the last 24 hours. I mean, it's ahead of, CryptoPunks, DraftKings. The ones that are up there are like Immutable X, Gods Unchained, CryptoPunks, DraftKings, Rainmakers, Bored Apes, So Rare. But number one is D-Market Mythos, and it's some kind of gaming platform where people are trading gaming assets.
Well, I'll tell you what, from my experience in the gaming industry, I will say that if you want to build a successful game today, you need to release the game first and then let people buy assets and not the other way around. I think those days are over, especially.
Totally.
And the reality is that right now, like the average video game player is going to spend, maybe they'll spend $70 on a really good game. And then they expect to have a damn good game that they can play for the next year or two. If you're charging, $700, $2,000, whatever it is for assets, and your game might come out in 2 years, that's a really tough proposition, because even if you're successful and you bring a game to market, is it going to be 10 times better than the game that Activision put out for 70. So that's the tough spot we find ourselves in. So if I was going to bet on blockchain gaming, I would say the games that can win over hundreds of thousands, if not millions of players who are willing to spend $2, $5, $10 at a time, those are the ones that are going to win. The ones that have extremely expensive assets, they might stick around as like a niche thing for rich people, but that's not how video games work anymore. You need to scale to as many people as possible to make any serious money.
This sounds like a shot at other side.
It's not. I mean, this is a mistake that I think a lot of NFT game projects have made, and I think it often is made by people who don't have a ton of experience in the gaming industry. But where things have gone, and it's free to play, right? Like you download a game on your phone or even on your console, like Fortnite, and it is literally free, and you can play it for free for as long as you want. If the game is good, it will incentivize you to spend money on cosmetics and other things. But that's the norm, and so you can't really undo that. That has become the situation, and the only game companies that can charge money in advance of you playing the game are the ones that have really deep experience. Like if you're Nintendo or CD Projekt Red or Rockstar, and you've like been around for 20 years and you put out some banger games, you can get people to pre-order your game. But other than that, it's not really feasible, honestly, to pre-sell your game for a significant amount of money, and then in any way think you're going to meet expectations relative to how much money people have spent on that item. So that's my stance. And I think that, some of the news that I'm going to share in the coming weeks about game experiences will be, modeling that belief, which is, I think you have to give people something for free and prove that you deserve their money.
I like that. I don't know. Have you heard of Gods Unchained? Because that's the one game that I've freaking put hundreds of hours into playing. It's free to play, but then like the cards are NFTs, so you can like buy better cards and stuff like that, which I think is just a great, easy way to incorporate NFTs in.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it. I mean, trading card games are a really good model for NFTs, and the ones that succeed, have that balance. Like if you look at non-crypto games, if you look at like Marvel Snap or Hearthstone, these are all games you can play for free, and eventually you get hooked on it, and you can upgrade your cards, and they'll charge you money for that, and that totally makes sense. So I think that any Web3 game, is smart to follow that model where it's like super cheap or free basically to play the game. And the way this works is you need to have a small percentage of your player base that are the whales, right? So like the vast majority of your players are playing for basically free or a very little amount of money. And they are the ones that make the whales want to spend the money. Because if I'm a whale, I want to look cool in front of all the minnows, right? All the little fish who are playing around me. So I'll spend the serious money. But you can't have a game that's just whales, because whales don't want to impress other whales. They're all rich, right? So they need to impress us, the normies, who don't want to spend anything. And so both have to exist. But Gods Unchained is like OG, and they've got a fun game. And the hardest thing I think is just competition, because it's easier to make a trading card game than it is to make like an immersive 3D world or a shooter or something like that. So you've got a lot of card games to pick from when you're considering what you want to put your time into.
Interesting. Okay, Michael, do you have any last minute questions before we go into our guest words?
I do have one more. The SEC regulations, we talked about impact theory, and just about a week ago, Stoner Cats reached settlements with the SEC. There's even some conflict in the SEC. There was some dissension to the rulings. Wanted to see what your thought on that was, what you think the U.S. government is doing, what they should do, and if projects should be worried, if people should be worried.
I think that basically what they're doing is going after the most blatant examples of people promoting something as an investment when it really is meant to be a collectible. So if you think about traditional real world collectibles like Pokemon cards, or basketball shoes or whatever it might be, the companies that make those things never sell them as an investment, right? They sell them as the thing they're meant to do, which is like play a game, wear these on your feet to be better at basketball. Now, the community might turn that into an asset and an investment, but as long as the seller doesn't do that, you're fine. So I think what the SEC is doing, if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I don't want to because I don't like them, but if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, they're basically saying like, yo, guys, stop selling these things as if it's a share in a company or a stock. It's not. Just say it's art, or it's like a thing in a game that lets you do this other thing, and that's all it is. And we'll leave you alone. But if you turn it into this, other type of product that like gets you airdrops of coins and future revenue, then you have a security. And I don't argue with it. It is a security if you do that. You shouldn't do that. And I think what it's done is basically made everybody extremely careful about how they market any type of digital asset. Overall, I'm disappointed in the SEC's murky sort of stance on how they enforce this stuff and how selective they are, because it does confuse consumers. And I think ultimately this just comes down to, is all this technology going to be adopted and innovated on in America, or is it going to happen in other countries? Like, it's not going to stop. It's just a matter of like, how popular will it become in the United States? And I certainly would like the U.S. to lead the innovation in the space and not lose to other countries. But that's TBD, and I think it'll probably resolve itself by next year, where either the current powers that be continue to squash it out and make it unpopular, and then we're just left with like Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else is security, or if things change and maybe things will become a little bit looser, and then the U.S. can continue. But for me personally, I'm definitely being extremely careful about any sort of public, discussions around what I'm promoting, selling, etc., because I don't want to be, held accountable for promising something that might look like a security that wasn't meant to be.
Are there any other projects that, off the top of your head, you think should be worried that are probably talking to the SEC now?
I think that all the big ones, honestly, already are being looked at and or under scrutiny. So I don't think, I think if you look at like the top few NFT projects, they're all going to be looked at.
Yeah, Yuga for sure. I mean, it was announced Yuga was being looked at or whatever. It didn't seem like malicious, but whatever it was. I wonder what's up with Gary V, because he made a lot of the claims and the investments, but he also gave 3 years of a conference, 2 so far. So I don't know if that helps his cause, but he made those claims just like Tom Bilyeu did. He sure did. I mean, I love Gary, but he did,
Yeah, I certainly would be, nervous about it, but I don't wish that on anyone, because
no, of course, you don't want the government coming down on people.
Sure. It's a bad use of resources. It's not really good for the consumer either. And frankly, I think that there are a lot worse actors outside of crypto that are continuing to cause a lot of harm to investors and everyday, citizens that need to be protected as well. So, yeah, we will see. But I'm an OG crypto guy. Bought my first Bitcoin on Mt. Gox back in the days. I've watched this cycle go back and forth and back and forth, and right now we're kind of at a bottom. But inevitably, if you're patient and you have the stomach for it, it'll resolve itself. You can't really stop technology, once it's out, it's out. And it's just a matter of who wants to embrace it and who wants to try to, bury it for a little bit, but eventually we'll come back.
I love that. Yes. There will be another bull run, folks. Let's go.
In an infinite timeline, everything will happen.
Yeah. Okay,
we don't have an infinite timeline.
Yeah.
We don't.
We're all going to die.
Yeah.
We're immortal.
Got a few decades. Jenny's like, speak for yourself. Jenny's got like 75 years.
Yeah.
75 years.
According to Ray Kurzweil, 2049 is the magic year when we approach the singularity, and we will be able to, fork our consciousness into a machine. So I guess if you can live to that point.
Oh, shit.
Great. That's when I'm 70. So, okay.
All right. Just, jog, eat well.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
He's been doing hot yoga. So,
yeah.
Hot yoga. That might work the other direction.
What?
I don't know. I've done it one time and thought I was going to die. So now
well, that's how you know it's good. If you feel like you're about to die, that's how you know it's good.
Okay, that's one theory.
That's like working out and you go super hard.
Same with heroin.
Right, yeah,
totally. I feel like the best heroin, you feel like you're like, I'm going to die right now. This is amazing. I've never done heroin. Never in my life.
This episode of NFC why heroin.
Okay, we got to move on to our final segment here, folks. We got the Gas Wars segment where we are going to ask Board 5 rapid fire questions each that don't have anything to do with Web3. So here we go. I guess I'll start it off. If you could magically become fluent in any language, which language would it be?
This is kind of a BS answer, but like code. I wish I was a programmer. I wish I could read code. I do think that.
Okay.
So, yeah, that would be my answer.
Chat GPT for that, bro.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Another cliche or common answer, but cookies and cream, can't beat it.
Would you rather be invisible or be able to read minds?
I think I would rather be invisible because I'm quite introverted. So getting away from people easily is great. And then if you have the power to read minds, I feel like you would just never stop. It's like Twitter. Like once you're on Twitter, you're just constantly using it and want to stay connected. And then if you could read minds, that would be like a Twitter on steroids, and you would be doing that all the time. And I think that you wouldn't be able to help yourself in terms of reading the minds of your loved ones.
It would be bad. It would just be bad.
It'd be really bad. So I would not want. I would say that's a curse, not a superpower.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice. Who was your role model growing up?
Man, that's a good one. I honestly can't even come up with someone, which is crazy. It's probably not good, but I don't know. No one really comes to mind. I would say like I didn't really have that kind of. I didn't really think about that as a kid until maybe college, and then I always point back to David Bowie as somebody who was able to just kind of shift the character of who he was as a person. Like in a way, he was kind of the first pseudonym that caught my attention because every few years he would change how he looks, he would change how he acted, and what he did from a performance standpoint. And I always thought that was really interesting and fascinating. And so I think whenever I started to think about that question, which was later in life, he's the one who comes to mind.
Cool. Dave Bowie's amazing. I was lucky enough to see him in concert over 20 years ago.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Do you have any hidden talents?
I have double jointed thumbs. That's not really a talent because I was born with it. I can speak another language, but I don't want to share which one it is.
Oh, okay.
It will reveal more information about me. I will say the one that I can share is I'm a pretty avid game designer. So I've designed and published 2 tabletop board games, like physical board games, on Kickstarter. And I've spent many years studying game design, game mechanics. So that's something I do for fun. And it's not a very like profitable skill set at all, but it's one that I really like because it forces you to use a lot of different skills like math and just like, figuring out statistics and strategy and all these sorts of things. So that's my weird skill that I've actually developed and wasn't told.
Okay, that's cool.
What is the best concert you have ever been to?
There's a concert in Las Vegas called Life is Beautiful, the festival. And I really like it because it's smaller than, Coachella and Lollapalooza. It happens in near downtown Las Vegas. And there's a lot of medium, smaller bands there. And I think it's a vibe. There's like a lot of sculptures. It's in the middle of nowhere. And one of my favorite bands that I saw in the last few years was Of Monsters and Men. Really just a beautiful Icelandic band. And that was one of my favorite memories of an outdoor concert.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's this weekend. And if you want to go, I'll buy your ticket. We'll go together. I'll sign an NDA.
Buying the ticket's not the issue.
Yeah, for me either. For me, it's going.
It's going. Yeah, it's like just saying to the family, like, "Hey, you're
yes, exactly. The Killers, Kendrick Lamar, 1975, Flume. I bet Jenny loves Flume.
Yeah,
I was gonna say she's like, yeah.
I just went to Imagine in Georgia, this last weekend. But okay, if you had to teach a class on one thing, what would you teach?
I think the most appropriate thing would be how to build an identity online, like a pseudonymous identity. I think that's something I'm very good at. And I think that it's actually a very important skill, especially today, when younger people are putting a lot of themselves, their actual identity online. I think there's a lot of danger in that, both, from like an actual danger standpoint and just like a mental health standpoint. And I think that just basically like a class on how to conduct yourself online, how to be careful online, I think that would be really useful. And if any, local high schools want to bring me in as a teacher, I'd be happy.
Local to where? What's the school district? Because we'll reach out and try.
Well, yeah, what's Lookout? Yeah. I'm gonna
California.
Yeah. It's one of the schools in California.
That's
nice.
Awesome.
Okay. If you could travel time, would you go backward or forward?
I would go backward. Again, sort of a situation with like similar to the mind reading thing, where if you know what was happening, it would be like a crushing level of pressure to not tell people about it or have that weighing on you. So backwards better. First of all, if you're greedy like me, you could make a ton of money if you went backwards. Just buy all the Amazon stock and Bitcoin. But also, I just think that it would be simpler, like it would be a less intense life and you wouldn't have to worry about as much stuff. So that's my answer if I have to choose.
I like that. I initially thought forward, but then I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, though. You would feel a lot of pressure. Okay, my last question. Oh, my last question is my favorite question. And it's, what is a book that's changed your life?
Probably, and I've been reading a lot recently, but the one that changed my life probably the most was one called The Medici Effect. And I want to say it's at least 10 years old. It talked a lot about the Medici family during the Renaissance and how they kind of helped fuel all these really smart, creative people in Florence to do what they do best, which is painting and science and music and all these sorts of things. And the whole premise of the book is how creativity is spurred by doing lots and lots of different things and having lots and lots of interests. Whereas most of society, especially in the US, train you to sort of be specialized, right? Like you are this, you are a lawyer, you are a math person, you are a writer. Instead, people like Da Vinci, for example, were really good at a lot of stuff, or were really interested in a lot of stuff. And my whole premise for being a creative person is you have to put different things that don't seem to come together, right? Find ways that they actually intersect to make interesting things. That's what makes somebody creative. And so for me, when I read that, it really kind of opened my mind and inspired me to continue to be curious and do a lot of learning even after, college, which is where most people kind of stop doing.
I love that. I gotta read that book.
It's a quick read. Probably look through it in like 8 hours.
Two flights.
Fair. What's the most adventurous thing you have ever done?
I think it will probably be. I went to Thailand, and this was before cell phones, smartphones were prevalent, and a lot of people don't speak English there, and I just kind of went and just got lost, and it all worked out. Like I didn't have a phone that could translate or tell me where I was.
Yep.
It was kind of nuts. Like in retrospect, or even today, imagine going to a country where most people don't speak English and not taking your phone with you. How much anxiety you have.
Well, I did that for 15 years pretty much until I had internet in other countries, because I've been traveling for a long time. That's my favorite part about traveling. Yeah, it was normal. It used to be. Yeah, for sure.
Now in retrospect, things like I would say that was probably
right. Nice. That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Board, for joining us on NFT Catcher Podcast. This has been a really fun episode, and we appreciate you for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the awesome questions. A lot of fun, and appreciate y'all having me.
Absolutely.
Sweet. All right. With that said, thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.